Okay, guys, so today I'm going to talk to you about what type of training is needed for particular goals, but specifically for the common goal that I hear from a lot of women, and that is to tone up. And then I'm going to give you some tips on some moves to incorporate in your training program to help you reach that goal. So there's a lot of women who simply don't know what it actually takes to tone up. And I use air quotes because you can't necessarily tone a muscle, you just build it up, right? So they want to lose weight and they want to tone, meaning they want to decrease the amount of body fat they have and increase the amount of lean muscle mass that they have. Now, the issue here is that typically you have to pick one or the other first. It's difficult to build muscle while losing fat. Not impossible, especially if you're a beginner to training, but typically you need to pick one or the other to focus on first. Not surprisingly, most women choose to lose fat first, and that's fine, but there is usually an issue they have when they decide that they want to lose fat first because they don't know what it actually takes to really build up the muscles that they want to have. So when you're building muscle, that means you have to eat more calories than your maintenance calories, where you're not losing or gaining weight. Okay, and that is what is called um, a bulk when you eat more than your maintenance calories. Okay, so the problem is when women lose the fat, but then want to build the muscle or to get that toned look. The problem is they don't realize that they have to pack on the calories to be able to gain the muscle that they want so they can get that toned look. But it sometimes entails adding a little more fat, and some women are just not psychologically ready for that. So I followed the same method where I lost fat first, and it was really scary for me to add all of those calories back after I was done cutting. But the good news is I did gain minimal fat, added some great muscle tone, and actually got over my fear of gaining weight, which is awesome. And it's something that I hope that all women can learn to do, because the good thing is now that you know what it takes to lose the fat, you can trust yourself, right? Trust yourself that once you gain the muscle to get that toned look that you want, you know what to do after that to lose any of the excess fat that you might have gained while still maintaining the muscle that you gained by eating the same amount of protein as you always have. So, as far as nutrition goes, that is what it takes to lean out and or build muscle. And this is a lengthy process. Some people don't realize how long it takes. Building muscle takes even longer than losing fat. So, ladies, if you really want that toned look, you have to build muscle, and that's going to take some time. So, I don't want you to look at these fit and strong ladies and think, it came natural to them. It's a process of manipulating calories, going from cutting to maintenance to bulk, and then doing it again until they hit their goal. It's a process. It takes time and consistency and knowledge, and that is where a coach is beneficial to you. So many women can't handle the psychological aspect of eating more calories, right? It feels counterintuitive to go through this process, but that's why it's important to have someone in your corner saying, "Hey, this is normal. This is what you have to do," or "Girl, eat some more calories," and then trust the process. That's one of the things that I love about being a coach, normalizing the process of eating more and eating according to your goals, not adding to the myth that women should be as thin as possible and eat as little as possible. All right, so now to the exercise portion of it. So it is also typically thought that cardio is where you'll burn the most calories, hence greater fat loss. So women will just about kill themselves on the treadmill hoping to burn fat off quickly. And while it's true that cardio does burn more calories during exercise, it is actually weightlifting that continues to burn calories long after you're done with your workout. Okay, it's a long, slow burn, consistently burning up energy from the calories that you eat. Now, I want to note that while cardio and weightlifting does burn calories, you cannot rely on these for fat loss. Okay, I know you've heard that you can't outtrain a bad diet, and it's 100% true. But there are some women who still refuse to believe that, right? So they'll kill themselves doing 2 hours of cardio because they just ate a piece of cake or something. Um, so they think they have to earn it, right? That's not how it works. And I want to clear that up for you. That is not the best way to lose weight. It is not the way to lose weight. You do exercise for your health and for building up lean muscle tissue, okay? The way to lose fat is through a calorie deficit. And if you're not in a calorie deficit via cutting calories, then you're not going to lose fat, okay? Now, some people have cut their calories so low that they plateau and there's no more calories that they can healthily shed, and that's when it's time to reverse diet. And I won't get into reverse diets in this episode because that will make up an episode all on its own, but just know that if you are eating 1,200 calories or less and not losing fat, you're not in a calorie deficit because your body has adapted to the amount of calories, and it's time to start the process of adding calories as high as you can go without significant fat gain so that you can cut again later on and lose the fat. And that is a process that I'm doing with one of my clients right now. She was consistently eating 1,200 calories a day before I took her on, which was way too low for her height, her activity level. So we've been increasing her calories slowly, and she's up to 1,900 calories at the moment, and we're still moving up. And she's actually lost 8 pounds. So that is a big win for her. Again, another episode, but just wanted to throw that in there. So yes, weightlifting and cardio do burn calories, but you cannot depend on those things for fat loss. Cardio is for your cardiovascular health. Weightlifting is to build muscle and reshape body composition, and calorie deficits are for losing fat. So I give my clients a weight training program for their workouts, and what you need to know is that there are different types of weight training styles out there, okay? So you have powerlifters focusing on pure strength, muscle endurance training focusing on endurance, and then you have hypertrophy training focusing on building the muscles. Each style incorporates a different number of rep schemes, a number of rounds, and rest periods. So I use hypertrophy training for myself and my clients, but it is good to switch it up every now and then. But that is the main training style that I go with, okay? So what is hypertrophy, and what makes this style of training ideal for my clients? Hypertrophy is an increase in the cross-sectional size of a muscle in response to strength training, okay? And there's 3 things you need to do that. It's mechanical tension, muscle damage, and metabolic stress to induce muscle growth, okay? Mechanical tension results from the intensity of the exercise, all right? So if you are squatting 200 pounds versus 50 pounds, you're creating more mechanical tension. So the greater the intensity of the exercise, the greater the mechanical tension. So then you have muscle damage. And this is induced little micro tears in the muscle fibers, which results from lifting heavier weights over time because the process of healing those tears induces growth in the muscle. But you also need to switch up the exercises you perform, okay? So there are slow twitch and fast twitch muscle fibers. Slow twitch muscle fibers are recruited more in endurance work, like long distance running, and fast twitch muscle fibers are activated in power moves like heavy powerlifting, okay? Your slow twitch muscles are always recruited first, but as intensity increases, then you recruit those fast twitch muscle fibers needed for heavy lifting. One way to produce more muscle damage through recruitment of fast twitch muscle fibers is through eccentric training, okay, which is the negative portion of the lift. And I know this sounds like jargon to some of you, so I'll give you an example. So for instance, when you're doing a bicep curl, as you curl that weight up, you're performing a concentric move, okay? And on the negative, on the way back down, you move into the eccentric portion of the curl as your muscle lengthens back out, okay? So you're resisting the weight as gravity pulls it down. Controlling the weight on the way down using a slow tempo as your muscle lengthens induces more muscle damage, which is what you want, okay? So it's important to perform slow, controlled movement concentrically, but also eccentrically. So you want to have both. And a good program should include focus on both of those movements. Another example would be a bench press, going slow and controlled on the way down to your chest and then exploding the movement up concentrically. So the more your muscle has time under tension as you slowly lower the weight resisting gravity, the greater the stress and the greater the damage, which is what you need to grow the muscle. So there was a 2009 study in British Sports Medicine Journal that showed high intensity eccentric moves were more effective and promoting the increase in muscle hypertrophy or muscle size rather than high intensity concentric training. So it's important to know the why behind the moves that are incorporated in a training program. I and my clients are going for muscle growth, which is why I include a variety of movements, okay? And there's more to it than just eccentric and concentric moves. There's isolated holds, lifting weights to failure. There's different ways you can manipulate, okay? Once the muscle has been damaged, your body sends what is called satellite cells to repair the muscle tissue. So the cells fuse together and then to the muscle fibers as well, leading to muscle growth. So once the muscle fibers are fused with these satellite cells, they're able to synthesize more proteins, leading to muscle growth and strength. Okay. So now that you know what hypertrophy means, increase in muscle size, and what you need to grow muscle, which is mechanical tension, intensity, muscle damage, and metabolic stress via time under tension, let's talk about the factors I include in my programs that ensure progress and muscle growth over time. Okay. So, first, my programs include a split system training principle, which simply means we break the workout into upper and lower body training on different days. Okay. Research shows that a split routine maximizes muscle hypertrophy as we focus on a specific muscle group each day. It also allows for the muscle to recover when we move on to a different muscle group the following day. Other factors that maximize hypertrophy or muscle growth include the intensity and duration of the training. So, for hypertrophy training, the recommended number of reps of an exercise is between 6 and 12. So, I typically stick between 8 to 10 reps per move and then repeat the entire set for 3 to 4 rounds. Rest period, they're between typically 1 to 3 minutes. And the ideal weight load will be between 70 to 80% of your 1 rep max, or how much weight you can lift one time with proper form. So a lot of, like, I don't even know what my 1 rep max is, honestly. And a lot of my clients don't. But what I tell my clients and what I do myself is to know by the last 2 or 3 reps of your exercise, you should be shaking. You should be strained. Okay. It should be strenuous to do those last couple reps. You should be shaking. Okay. And that is where the magic happens. You're putting stress on the muscle, causing those micro tears in the muscle needed for growth. So when you're in the gym or doing a workout at home, you want to pick a few exercises to make a set or a full round. You'll start with the first move, complete 8 to 10 reps of that move, making sure to pick a weight that you'll struggle lifting by rep 8 to 10. And then you'll move into the next exercise for 8 to 10 reps, then the third exercise for 8 to 10 reps. Okay. And then you'll rest 1 to 3 minutes, allowing your muscles to recover, and then repeat the entire round 2 to 3 more times. So that would be considered a circuit. Okay. So 3 exercises of 8 to 10 reps each, repeated 3 to 4 times. Okay. That's a circuit. I also include supersets, which is just 2 exercises back to back, usually including 2 moves that work the opposing muscle. So I might have bicep curls for the first exercise and then tricep kickbacks for the second exercise. Okay. There are also giant sets where you can move through, let's say, 6 exercises before you take a full rest and repeat. But if you're doing your own thing, just make sure to pick a few exercises to move through. 8 to 10 reps each, 70 to 80% max weight load, and repeat the rounds 3 to 4 times. That's the basics. There's a whole lot more you can do, but I want to give you the basics if you're a beginner walking into the gym, not sure what to do. So this type of programming is what is ideal for muscle growth. Like I said before, there are different training styles. So for those going for pure strength, like powerlifters, you would need to do lower amounts of reps, like 3 to 5 reps per move. If you're going for endurance, you can do lighter weights at 15 to 20 reps. It all depends on your goal. But for me and most of the women that I meet, hypertrophy training is the way to go to meet the goals that we've set for ourselves, and that is to build muscle. Okay. So I'm going to give you some tips on what kind of moves to incorporate on a regular basis to ensure you're working all the muscles. So for instance, on lower body day, you'll want to incorporate some type of squat, whether it's a narrow, standard, sumo, goblet, plie. There's a lot. Some type of squat. Okay. You'll also want to add in some type of lunge. So you have reverse, slide, forward, a Bulgarian split squat. That's kind of the same thing. So some kind of lunge, okay? Then you want to do some kind of hip thrust movement for the glutes, okay? And that can be a hip thrust with your back on the bench and a weight placed on top of your hips. And then you can do it with your back on the ground with your feet elevated, okay? So there's a couple ways to do the hip thrust. Then you need a hip hinge movement for the hamstrings. And this can be an RDL, a Romanian deadlift, a regular deadlift, good mornings, things like that. And all you got to do is Google these moves and you can see what they are and how to perform them properly. But in all moves, you want to make sure that your core is engaged, your spine is in alignment with your neck and your head. You always want to get the form down properly before adding in weight, because that is when injuries occur. Okay, so when form is not properly executed and you're lifting heavy, it's going to cause an injury. If your core is weak and not engaged, it can cause a lot of problems for your back. So form first, then add the weights. Okay. So upper body days, I include movements for shoulders through some type of press or raise, side raise, front raise, military press, things like that. Moves for biceps. There's all kinds of variations of bicep curls. You have preacher curls, hammer curls, wide grip, narrow grip curls, cross body curls, okay? And then I make sure to include tricep exercises. You can do kickbacks, tricep dips, or tricep push-ups. You can use cables or bands. Again, you can go onto Google and just find so many moves to do, but those are the muscles that you want to include on upper body day, okay? For back and chest day, you'll want to make sure to do some type of chest press move like the bench press. You'll want to do chest flies, some type of push-up. And then for your back, you'll want to do some type of row, whether it be a barbell bent over row, single arm dumbbell row, a lat pull down, and a reverse fly, okay? So those are your basic movements to place stress on your muscles. And you can add in an ab workout anywhere. I typically do about 4 to 5 ab moves on upper body and chest and back day, okay? So the main thing you want to focus on, especially if you have a tight schedule, is to focus on those main areas. If you can't work out 5 days a week, do your best to fit in at least 3, incorporating lower body on one day, upper body on the second, and then chest and back, okay? If you have an even tighter schedule, you can do 2 full body days where you're incorporating all of the moves into a session. But ideally, you really want to focus on one muscle group per day to get the most benefits. Personally, I do 5 days a week, including lower, upper, back and chest, 1 cardio day and 1 full body day. But it's all according to your schedule, your abilities, and your goals, okay? Now, once you've been doing this for several weeks, what you need to keep in mind is the progression principle. Since your body adapts to the stress that you place on it, if you continue doing the same thing over and over, your body will adjust to it and it will no longer be as beneficial as before. So you'll need to gradually progress over time by including more weight, switching up your training methods in the form of volume, the amount of exercises, or intensity, the difficulty of exercises, your rest period. You can add extra reps or amount of times a weight is moved, and extra sets, the group of consecutive repetitions. Okay, so you can switch any of those up to make the body guess. Okay, so that way you're not plateauing. This ensures that the body does not stall in its muscle building progress. You'll need to include tempo movements where you're lowering or lifting the weights to a count of 4 in a slower, controlled fashion. You can add things like drop sets where you start off with, say, 12 reps at a medium weight and then go down to 10 reps, increasing the weight a bit, and then 8 reps where you increase the weight even more. And then do one more set where you lift heavy until you're about to fail, meaning you can't possibly lift the weight anymore with proper form. That is failure, and that is great for damaging the muscle. You'll also need to include moves that are compound as well as isolated. So your compound movements are the ones you would do with, say, dumbbells or barbells, where other muscles are working besides the one that you're focusing on, okay, in order to stabilize you. Whereas a more isolated movement is done on a machine like the leg press, where all the work is being done by the legs because the rest of your body is supported, okay? One more thing to keep in mind before I hop off here, deload weeks. So for my clients, I typically incorporate these every 4 to 5 weeks to give their muscles a week of recovery. So Females tend to need more recovery time than males, especially females who are older. So regardless of your goals, you do need recovery periods to allow your muscles to heal and grow, okay? If you are not mixing rest with strength training, you're not effectively growing the muscles, okay? So for those of you who are like me and you're a go-getter, this might be difficult for you, but it's just as important as the weight training. If you see a decline in your performance to lift, it's past time to include a deload week to allow for recovery and decrease the likelihood of injuries. So a deload week um, includes either or both reducing the number of sets by 30% or the amount of weight that you lift. So don't skip these lighter weeks, okay? I'm talking to myself here because it's hard for me not to go ham every day in the gym, but if you want to progress, it is necessary. So those are the basics of hypertrophy training, giving you some insight on how you need to be training if you want to grow the size of your muscles. It takes consistency in both weight training and resting for the appropriate amount of time. And you also need to eat to fuel your muscles, making sure you're getting adequate amounts of complete proteins to aid in the recovery of your fatigued muscles, okay? Get 8 hours of sleep and make sure you're stretching as well, because flexibility plays a huge role in your range of motion when lifting. It all goes together. All these things work together to help you build a strong and healthy body. Okay. So I hope this gave you the tools that you need to understand how muscle growth is accomplished and what you need to do to get started. I do have a free resource for you, a free weight training workout in a PDF that you can access now. You just go to bridges2barbells.com/resources and click on the free workout, and I will get that to you ASAP. Again, this is something I do for my clients, setting up a custom strength training plan that is based on their schedule, abilities, limits, goals, performance level, all those things, so that we can create the best plan for them. So we do check-ins every week via email to assess their victories, setbacks, questions. And then once a month, we'll do it by phone to assess progress and discuss changes that need to be made if necessary to reach their goals. So it's a completely customized plan so that you get the most benefits out of your time at the gym or in your home gym. So if you're interested in what I would recommend for you and your unique lifestyle, I am offering free consultation calls to go over all these aspects with you and design a plan that fits your life and your goals. So if that is something that interests you, you can head over to my website now. It's bridges2barbells.com/plans. And there you can book your 30-minute consultation call with me, and we'll get you started on the right track to what you're looking to achieve. And of course, if you found this information to be helpful, I would absolutely love to hear from you. So leave me a review so I can read them and see who I'm helping. Okay. And you can also contact me on Instagram. My handle is bridges2barbells, and that's always with the number 2. And just let me know what you think about this episode, and I will see you guys later.